Hi, my name is Ravi Jagannathan. I do virtualization projects and secure clouds. I build very large, highly secure clouds. And today I'm going to talk about developing OpenStack applications. I see a lot of people talking about various OpenStack components and this and that, but the one area that is really kind of undeveloped in the entire OpenStack community is developing killer apps for OpenStack. The reason is it's kind of obscure, so this talk is really meant to be a Kickstarter and regarding how to start knowing about developing applications. This is really for beginners, real beginners. So I'm going to start from how I started off doing these applications. So I'm probably as good as an example like anybody else. So if this is only a talk for really beginners who actually haven't had interaction with the OpenStack controller, haven't had the hands-on experience. Now I want to start doing something kind of thing, right? So this is a Kickstarter for newbies. I mean, as I've been saying, it'll give you some basic steps to start, and then give you guys some useful pointers. And as usual, there won't be any big surprises. There's the links and web links I go to are the ones you guys are going to say, yeah, I know about it, kind of thing, right? So basically, I just want to kick this session off. So hopefully this, a few minutes becomes the beginning minutes of your OpenStack application development career. I have developed very sophisticated applications using this. So it could start very simply, actually, before you become very involved in it. And it's very useful to develop applications. So this is definitely not an advanced talk. If somebody has some advanced questions, I may be answering after the talk. So it's all amounts to a couple of things. What is REST API? Everybody's talking about REST API. We are going to demystify the REST API, actually in a very simple way. It's not that complicated. So if we are an expert in REST API or just doing everything, this is just, you can skip the whole thing. When people deal with OpenStack, I mean, these are not the only three ways. Typically, the three ways that they deal with is they've got CLIs like Nova command, or Nova is the one that does compute kind of stuff, and Glance that deals with the images, or Neutron that deals with the network. I mean, there are many of them. There are 37 OpenStack components, right? So the CLIs are too many. CLIs are just like a Linux ls command, kind of thing, right? So, and then people do scripts. The scripts, and the REST APIs, they all have, couple of things, a few things in common. They all are REST APIs. In one way or other, they'll end up making some HTTP, invoking some HTTP stuff like get, post kind of thing, and they get the answer back. And the answer actually comes back in the JSON format. And dealing with JSON is not that sophisticated either, which we will go through. And how do you parse the JSON commands? Again, it is not as surprisingly complex as one thinks. So a lot of people do manual work. That is, they go to Horizon, they click it to death until they find the right place, right menu, right side menu. They find whatever they need to find, and it is getting a lot better as the OpenStack releases are moving further. Still, for somebody who's brand new, when I look at Horizon every day, it feels like a brand new thing, every new release, right? It's kind of changing. Still, it is very useful. It'll give you some status. You can find a lot of things. If you're a manager, it's not a bad place to start. However, if you're a programmer or a programming manager who wants to be a hands-on programming manager, then it's good to know some of the internal details of how it's done. The OpenStack, if you are using a CLI, you can just, I'll just go through it briefly. You can get your credentials, sourced in an environmental variable, and then you can start typing the OpenStack CLI commands, whatever that may be. Keystone to list the users, or Silo mirror to get some monitoring stuff, whatever. So, and then we're also going to touch base on APIs. Again, this is not meant to explain things, but it's just going to show you some basics and some links that you can go to. And there's also curl, which I really like to do bash scripting, and it has its place. So those are the things we are going to see. So first of all, I'm going to start with, people, number one thing they do is that they go to Nova and then they just want to, list the VMs that they are actually, that are running. Before you do that, it's good to have a whole bunch of variables. I would put it in a file and then source this file in a typically like a bash script. So these, environmental variables are in its place, and start typing a command like Nova or Keystone, whatever, right? Now, and then after you source these environmental variables, if you guys notice, these environmental variables has, the project name, username, tenant. I just, basically using some, mundane username and passwords. And there's one thing that I point out is auth URL. That is the URL for you getting authorized. So it is typically in the 5000 port v3, and I'm just demystifying the lines. We are going to be revisiting that line a few times. So once these variables, the commands can get at, and they know what it is, they will execute the command and give you the output. It's as simple as that. If you come across a brand new OpenStack pod, you can just say, hey, these are the variables I want. Give me these variables. Once you're done, you can go to the OpenStack, openstack.org, and then start typing all kinds of commands. So, and then first you can get the image list, and then you can see whether your particular image, like my name is Ravi, so Ravi's image, whether it's running as a VM. And if it is not, then you can go figure out what are the flavors, like how much typical memory, disk usage, those are the things. They are lumped together as a flavor. So which flavor you want to use, you can list that from the Nova flavor. And voila, you can use your image, and you can spin your VM. Nova is a command. Boot image is subcommand. And you can give it an image that you want, capital image, and the flavor that you can use the flavor that you just got derived from, and then you can give it an instance name like Ravi instance, right? Like Ravi shop. So you can simply spin a VM in a matter of 5 minutes. So if you want 10 more minutes to have coffee, you can have that, and then put these things in the environmental variable, and you can do the VM. This is basically how it starts. There are many public clouds out there. They have got well-defined APIs. What people often forget is OpenStack has well-defined APIs, and it could be very easily used. And this is just a slow start. We are upping the ante slightly a little bit. If you want to use curl is a command that sends HTTP commands for you. It's explained in gory detail in the OpenStack website, and I'm leveraging whatever is already out there, and you guys can use this, curl examples. So to give you one example, this is a typical curl command, and then it's basically going out to this basically here to the auth URL. And these are the password and username you are passing, and then it actually generates an HTTP request towards that place part that you need to get authenticated. And curl command is typically used in a shell script. It's just, I wouldn't use it in a command line because it's going to come back with a response like this. It's a never ending. You're going to looking at it and say, oh my God, is this what I need to deal with? So I wouldn't use it, in the regular command line. So this is only a partial response. It's not all of it, right? So the way I would go about doing this is I'll just use awk and sed. The command is older than most of us here, so it just works. And typically, what I would do is that I would have my curl command, which the advantage of curl command is you can control it in a lot more finer manner, and it's just like the REST API, so you have a lot more finer control, final control over it. So now I'm going to go into the how you can use the REST APIs. Before you can start using the REST API, you can import this. I'm using the Python. You can use this, import these libraries. And I'm just going to show you a Nova client, example. This is one way of getting, authentication from the OpenStack. This is the auth URL, and you can have an HTTP connection, and you can use that in turn to validate yourself with your user ID and password. This is a typical simple Python example, and it is all over the web, anywhere you want to see. And if you want to do the Nova, you want to list something from Nova, all you have to do is, if you want to get a list, server list from Nova, just get the authentication here, and then get a Nova session, and then boom, make a call to list the Nova clients and Nova client, and then you can actually request a server. That call is missing here. You can make a call to get the Nova server. So it'll give you all the Nova servers that are there. It so happens, the OpenStack has many language bindings. I typically use Python, Go, C, Java, that kind of thing. And the list is too long to go over these things step by step here. You might want to take all the SDKs available there. There is this Python SDK, which I like. You can actually, you want to organize your program in an object-oriented manner, just like the way you would use, Go or Java or anything. It's very useful to, you can actually build a program like spin off my VM once this particular compute node shows up, and when the other compute node shows up, spin my other topology that has 5 VMs connected in this private, network manner. So you can actually, you don't have to be at the terminal. You can kick off a program that waits and sees what needs to be done. So this is the beginning of developing sophisticated OpenStack applications, which is a major hole that's missing in this entire community. So I'm looking for a killer app. I'm trying my best to come up with an app. In the meantime, I want to spread the knowledge, so if not me, somebody else will come up with a killer app for OpenStack. So that's basically what my talk is. Thanks, guys.